www.passingbucks.com. This is a Pathways project, and the title is Use of Trust Capital Units as Contrasted with Units of Beneficial Interest. Say that 3 times fast. Please welcome distinguished Toastmaster Howard Hinman.
And this will be 3 to 5 plus a 3 to 5
Q&A afterwards.
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
3 to 5 and then a 3 to 5 Q&A after.
Thank you. In this talk, I shall discuss how trust capital units, those called TCUs or TCU in the singular, and units of beneficial interest are used. Please note that I'm a paralegal, not attorney. Nothing in this talk or any of my talks is ever taken as financial, investment, legal, or tax advice, or typically, unless specifically identified, political or sports thoughts. And this talk will probably be fairly controversial. Presiding officer, ladies and gentlemen, both of these represent an interest in something, like bonds and or stocks, or a savings account at a credit union, or a receivable like a promissory note. Something of tangible value, even if that value can only be determined by the market, which is sometimes a cacophonous situation. They are probably best thought of as something akin to a share certificate, although speaking solely as a paralegal, when properly drafted and administered, they are not a security. This is most important in North America. In other common law jurisdictions, speaking solely as a paralegal, this may be of less concern. However, as a general rule, attention to paperwork and proper bookkeeping are vital. Proper trust operation always includes rigorous and robust personnel, procedures, and resources. The key step is either of these, TCUs and or UBIs, is always exchanged and or issued at the sole discretion of the Board of Trustees. Regarding the Irrevocable Common Law Trust, a potential very powerful trust indenture, one that the Australian, British, Canadian, and USA ruling elites wish to keep for themselves, fight back by educating yourself by going to my firm's website, www.passingbucks.com. Most trust drafters use the terms UBIs and TCUs interchangeably. In the trust associated with Charles Arthur Enterprises Trust, again, the website, www.passingbucks.com, TCUs and UBIs are treated slightly differently. TCUs give the holder ownership and will pay up upon a dissolution of an irrevocable common law trust directed by the Board of Trustees. UBIs are used for a slightly different purpose. They represent a share in a joint venture. Typical examples used over the years are laundromats, mail receiving services, vending machine routes, and investment in equipment for an engineering firm. The trust would put up the capital and someone else operates the business. You'll notice the first 3 examples are cash-rich ventures. Some of these were operated for many years very successfully. An irrevocable common law trust is a way to keep your affairs and business truly private. This is something the ruling elites like George Soros, Henry Kissinger, Nancy Pelosi, Bill Gates, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Justin Trudeau, Klaus Schwab, possibly the most dangerous human in history, human freedom, even more than the paragon of retrogression, Immanuel Kant, and perhaps even Donald Trump, wish to abolish. Ladies and gentlemen, presiding officer, speaking solely as a paralegal, an irrevocable common law trust has minimal, if any, political government reporting requirements, especially regarding revenue taxes. Please note that an irrevocable common law trust is primarily about supporting any and all of its beneficiaries. Any and all tax considerations are always a secondary consideration, and back to me to do a 3 to 5 Q&A. Sherwood, you have a question?
Yes, can you tell us who Immanuel Kant is and why he's such an enemy of the world?
Immanuel Kant was Ayn Rand's greatest foe, and he was the man that set philosophy back at least 200 years. And basically, he is the intellectual antecedent of fascism, Nazism, etc. He justified them. And she's his her bête noire, and I'm not really fond of him either. And he's considered the paragon of philosophers, which is a whole other topic in itself.
You have a favorite philosopher?
Three. My three are, of course, Miss Rand herself, Ayn Rand, who would be number 2. Number 3 is probably Aristotle. I'm not a particular fan of Plato. You can tell that, although Professor Plato was pretty sharp. And the most courageous person of all time is probably Baruch Spinoza, the Jew who lived in the Netherlands. Because basically, Aristotle was not in particular danger in Athens. Ayn Rand was a noted atheist. And quite frankly, in 20th century America, there's no danger in being an atheist. Baruch Spinoza lived in a time when you could be killed for having the wrong sect. And that was going on. He was in Spanish. The Netherlands was actually, I think, part of Spain then, or just separated and was a Spanish Republic. So therefore, he was the most courageous of the 3, and therefore he's my favorite.
Yeah, I heard they tortured him. On the way to kill him, he had spikes in his tongue and his mouth.
I think that was probably Giordano Bruno.
Oh, okay.
In 1600, different Anna. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I mean, you understand, if you go back 300-400 years, 400-500 years, there were fights between Germans, Lutherans versus Catholic, etc., etc. Foolish, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Why kill someone for a difference of opinion?
Right.
Of course, we do that. We do that these days as well. We seem to have not learned, as Ludwig Mises said. More questions. No one wants to get in another question? Sherwood.
In what country do you think that the economic system is structured most nicely for investors?
Without giving any financial advice, if I were going to be a contrarian a la Doug Casey, I would invest in, you can't do it as an American, through an intermediary in Russia. I'd invest in natural gas, in petroleum, and in precious metals, mining. That's what I would do. Because in uranium, Rosatom. Yeah, I've thought about this when I get to Dubai, setting up a company and doing that. That's what I do. My St. Bart's talk from last week, that's what I do. I set up an investment company and make contrarian investments that are unpopular and not woke, that will actually make some money. Because green energy is a fraud, and you may quote me on that. I'll be happy to discuss at any point. There are no green shoots. Basically, Germany is in danger of freezing this winter because they've shut their nuclear plants and they do not have enough coal to take care of the coldness. It gets cold in Germany. It's not going to be fun for those people. More questions? Somebody wants to make a last question?
Arian Rand. From what I heard, she passed away. When she passed away, she was on Social Security.
Yes, and that was a taxation reclamation. No, she did not do well the last years in her life. She'd given up her newsletter. Her husband had left her. I mean, not left her. Her husband had died. She did not plan well for her retirement.
Okay.
I mean, literally, she actually was. She was not a good financial planner. She was a writer. She could have used a better business manager. Frank O'Connor, her husband, was an actor as well, and probably not the best businessman. The only really good money man in the entertainment field is, of course, Vance and Sherwood. So on that note, back to our presiding officer for real.
Thank you.
And I hear Max Baird Jr. had some good investments though, and has survived well off of that. And I think there was actually some rapper too that also did